Welcome, everybody, to the Investment Biker Podcast with your host, Dave Baker. I've got my guest today, Megan O'Connor.
Hi.
She is at Megs Motorcycle Journey. She is a lawyer, a mom, a fitness junkie, a business owner, and above all else, a badass biker chick. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, I'll take it. Thanks for having me.
It is true, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So who is Megan and what journey are you on?
I mean, I think I'm all the things that you said. I am an attorney. I'm a mom to 3 little kids. I own another business. I have a YouTube channel, Megs Motorcycle Journey. I'm definitely a fitness junkie. I'm a little bit of a nerd too. I love Harry Potter. So,
Are you see what Slytherin? What house are you?
I think Gryffindor. Slytherin would be my secondary house. Sometimes
Okay.
I have to be sneaky in practicing law for sure. So there's a little bit
snake
of
in the grass.
that cunning piece of being a Slytherin.
Very cool. So how can we find you? You've got an Instagram channel and then also a YouTube channel that you basically just started, and you have like 100,000 followers or something.
Not that many. So I actually started the Instagram page a year ago. I was not expecting or intending for it to blow up, but it kind of did. So it's Megs Motorcycle Journey on Instagram, and that page has been around for a little over a year. I just started the YouTube channel. I think we posted our first video end of October.
Okay.
And that's also Megs Motorcycle Journey. So if you're looking to see anything about my biker life and follow me on my motorcycle adventures, those are the 2 places to look.
Very cool. Very cool. And what kind of inspired you to even do the Instagram, the YouTube? Was this just out of passion, fun, wanted to see what it was?
I'll say that I have always had a part of my personality that is sort of a thrill-seeking, a little bit outside of the rules type of thing. And as an adult, I've not been able to really express that part of my personality as much because law is a very, I'll say, staunchy type of profession, especially the type of law that I practice because I do business litigation. And so a lot of my clients are people in the business industry, and it's not probably welcome with business folks.
Gotcha.
And then I'm a mom, and I try not to embarrass my kids too much or do anything that, might reflect badly on them in that part of my life, because I certainly, they're my number one priority, and their happiness and well-being is important to me. So I haven't been able to sort of express that part of my personality, and I thought it would be fun. Initially, I only invited like 20 friends of mine that I knew were a part of the riding biker community, and then I used a couple hashtags and woke up one morning and had all of these followers. So I was like, maybe there's something to it. And
what were the secret hashtags?
They weren't. They were like biker chick or Harley 883, because I had a Sportster when I started it, an 883. Okay. So it wasn't anything magic. It was just what was in the picture.
Yeah.
And, I learned how to use hashtags just a little bit before that. So I think I thought I was like cool using hashtags.
So you mentioned you had an 883 as your first bike.
I did.
Was that your first bike in general, or your first one you owned yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
So I had ridden dirt bikes before.
Okay.
Growing up, and then I have a cousin, and she's super into motorcycles, but also dirt bikes. So as a child, her son would ride all the time at family stuff. I grew up in Carroll County. Everybody in Carroll County has dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, all of it. So I did my fair share.
Hunting, fishing, riding.
That's right. I did my fair share of that kind of riding, but it is my first bike that I owned. Now, the reason that I ended up buying it is that I had bought my son, who's now 10, but at the time I think was 7. We first bought him an electric dirt bike, and I used to ride it. I think the weight limit was like 125 pounds, and it only went like 24 miles an hour. And I would embarrass my kids by riding on this tiny little electric dirt bike. And then we ended up getting him a 125, and I rated as much as he did. So.
Nice. So Harley Davidson, what made you choose Harley? I mean, going from dirt bikes to eventually getting a V-twin cruiser, was there from childhood anything that was like, I'm getting a Harley?
I mean,
What's
I
the
would
connection?
say that all of my friends that ride Harleys.
Okay.
I am kind of old to be riding a sport bike for very long. I completely demolished my knees, really all of my joints in gymnastics because I was a gymnast for most of my life.
And you cheered in college, right?
I did co-ed cheerleading, which was probably even worse on my knees because you're falling, they're throwing you and you're falling from 30 feet. And so
Not fun.
it's just not the most comfortable position to be riding a sport bike. So I thought a cruiser, I know I'm not that old, but I feel old sometimes in my joints. So I thought that would be good. And
Well, Harley's not necessarily an old person bike. We'll stop there.
I would have said it was in my early 20s. How about that?
So the 883, how long did you have that bike?
So,
And for y'all that don't know, that's a Sportster. It's kind of your starter line of the Harley.
So
bikes.
I got my license last August. August of
2019?
2019.
Okay.
And I purchased the 883 maybe 3 weeks later.
Okay.
I think it was like August 30th, August 25th, something like that. And I had it until May of 2020. But a lot of the guys that I ride with had big boy bikes, and I couldn't really keep up on my 883. I could floor it all the way, barely moved compared to them. And it's just not the most comfortable bike to take on long trips. So as soon as I started riding more than, 20, 30 miles in any direction, I was like, yeah, time to upgrade.
So you got what do you have, a lowrider?
It's a lowrider S.
Okay.
So there's always confusion with that because Harley has a lowrider, and then they had the lowrider S, which they said is sort of their continuation of their Dyna line.
Right.
So it's not the same bike as the
They
lowrider.
killed the Dyna.
I mean, most of those folks have jumped on the lowrider S train, I think. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good replacement. A lot of the Dyna bros have gone over to the lowrider as a good.
Yeah.
My first was a street bob, a Dyna.
Yeah.
And I love that bike. You could throw it around and.
So that was my second choice.
Okay.
I probably test rode 6 different bikes when I went to trade up, and that was my second choice. Both the Street Bob and the Lowrider S. The controls were close enough because I'm 5'2", so I needed something that's a little bit more compact.
So you have the mid controls, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Street Bob had the mid controls as well.
Yep.
And the seat wasn't so wide as some of the other ones, but that was my second choice. But I really just love the Lowrider S. Like, I got on it, and of all the bikes, I was at Frederick Harley. I took it for like one spin around, and I'm like,
done.
This is the one. But it was not what I wanted to be the one because it was significantly more money than the Street Bob and the Slim.
Didn't you get it, like you got a black bike and then got it painted like a day later?
Bike. I think it was 9 days. 9 days after I got it. Red is my color. It's my thing. My Sportster was red. When I started driving in high school, I had a red Volkswagen Bug. Okay. So red, and it's just my favorite color. I like red roses. So that was the one. This is a very girly and not biker thing to say, but the most important thing to me going in was that my bike be red. And since they didn't make that bike in red, I knew immediately I was going to paint it. So I researched prior to buying it. Who's going to paint it? How much is it going to cost? What are the logistics of this?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And who did you end up using to paint it?
Sean Glass.
As long as you were happy.
Yeah, no, he did a great job. He has a lot of experience painting. I think he painted for Chevy dealers and stuff like that.
Is this like an independent, or is this?
He has his own little shop. He's in Carroll County, so a friend. He's like a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Grew up in the same place I did. He did a fantastic job.
Now,
you can find him. I'm just gonna give him a shout out.
Yeah, go.
You can find him at Paint Glass Works on Instagram, and he's got really impressive stuff. So he did an awesome job.
Very cool. So speaking of friends, and I've found this to be true in my experience, just in the biker community, that you end up using shops, places, upgrade of like people you know.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's such a community in the biker world.
Yes.
Do you feel that? Like, what's been your experience kind of coming into the world of bikers?
I've seen both sides. On one hand, a lot of people have been really nice, really welcoming, really supportive. When I first started riding, the group of like 4 or 5 of us that ride, everybody was really helpful and gave me a lot of good advice. Like, don't worry about hurrying up because somebody behind you is impatient. Like, take your time.
Ride your ride.
Right.
Yep.
So that's great. But then I've also sort of had the flip side of it, I think, because I'm not like the typical biker Harley girl. When I took my class to get my license, the teacher, who ironically was a woman, made a comment when we first went in that, like, some people just aren't meant to ride motorcycles. And I was like, oh, it's on now. Now I'm getting
fuel for the fire, right?
Yeah. So I think I've seen both sides of it, but in general, the biker community's been really great, welcoming, supportive.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. So let's see. You ride, you're a lawyer, you're a business owner. What business are you in, and how does that kind of relate or come back to the motorcycle world? You mentioned a car wash. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so I own my firm, but that is certainly fairly far away from the biker world. I also co-own with 2 partners. My partners, Mike and Ian, a car wash business. So we have mobile detailing units. We do mobile detailing of both regular cars and trucks, and then also bikes, and then we do fleet washing. We have a consulting part of the business because Mike and Ian were in the car wash industry for over a decade, and combined anyway, and ran a really large concept locally for like 10 years. And so they split off. They're the experts at the actual car washing, so I do more of the admin, the contracts, that type of thing. But we're also looking, I actually did a YouTube video for a physical location, so we're still exploring that. We had a couple sort of lined up before COVID, and then we sort of put the brakes on there, so We're still looking for the right opportunity.
Very cool. Well, I wish you best of luck with that.
Thank you.
I think Urbana may be on the docket as a possible location, right?
I think it would be a great place for one. So.
Well, we'd love to have it here. Lastly, before we wrap this up, I want to ask you one question. Take it wherever you want to go.
Sure.
But what does the motorcycle community need to know about you that they may not know? Something unique or you want to throw out there?
I mean, I already said I'm a closet nerd. I love Harry Potter. I think, something that frustrates me is I get a lot of people saying, like, I bought a bike so I could start a YouTube channel. And that's not true. I genuinely like thrill-seeking activities. I like to do things that are adventurous and fun, and I feel like I've only got one life to live, so I might as well live it to the fullest and do things that make me happy. And riding my bike is one of those things. It feels almost, it's me time. It's time that I don't have to be worried about my firm or my kids or anything else. It's, people say it's wind therapy, and it really is. When I get off my bike, I feel like I have released some of the stress that built up. So that's why I'm riding, and I'm doing the channel to honestly support my upgrades and my bike trips and pay my bike payment, because honestly, sometimes it feels a little selfish to do all of those things if I'm taking sort of income away from my family. But this allows me to sort of have a pot where I can do all of the things that I want to do with my bike and still have my career and my income from my family. So I'm doing it for that reason.
And I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with that. Tell the haters to shut their mouths. I love riding. For me, being able to find a way that I can take a passion, mix it with business, and be able to have, like you said, the support of that, support your passions. I'm an advisor. I'm in finance.
Yeah.
You don't generally want to buy things. You want to buy things that pay for things that you enjoy. So I that train of thought is wonderful.
100%.
Keep going with it.
Oh, thank you. And I think the other thing that I've said to people is, if you can make money doing something that you love, why wouldn't you do that?
100%.
So,
100%. Well, let's end there on that thought, because that's a great ending. you mentioned that Carroll County and backwoods and all that, so
That's
we're going
right.
to end it here with a little, maybe a little tumbleweeds are rolling. Dave Baker, the investment biker, here with my guest, Megan O'Connor. Megs Motorcycle Journey on Instagram. Follow her on YouTube as well. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the road. Investment biker, out.
There you go.
That's a wrap.